We are tracking our first tropical system of the Atlantic hurricane season out over the Gulf. A lot of moisture, a lot of energy is coming together to bring a potentially significant heavy rain threat across portions of the southern US and the deep south. This is one of the first big tropical threats of the season, but could bring an enhanced corridor of flooding potential. Not only are we tracking that system in the south, we're also tracking some more significant severe weather returning. Tornadoes and damaging winds look to be the biggest threat across portions of the Midwest, with another severe weather outbreak possible in the middle parts of this week. Today is Monday, June 15th. I'm on vacation, so the setup's a little bit different, but there is still some significant weather ahead that we'll be tracking. Today in the weather world, we'll focus on two systems, the tropical system in the south and the potential severe weather in the north to keep you safe out there. Starting out in the tropics, we have an area of low pressure that's currently spinning over Mexico. This just moved inland over the past day or so. Right now, there is no chance of development, but over the next few days, it's expected to move back out in the Gulf and parallel the coast of Texas, somewhere within this yellow region. The National Hurricane Center is monitoring this and giving this about a 30% chance of development. So right now, odds are currently low. Regardless of whether it develops or not, though, it is bringing a pretty heavy rain risk, especially along and to the north of its track. Now, currently where its exact track sets up, there's a lot of uncertainty, but we are watching this very closely because whether it develops or not, it will be bringing some impacts to land. The biggest threat we're looking at with this system is rain. The wind, if the system develops a little bit, we could be talking about a bit more wind, but that's way less certain. What is certain, though, is some heavy rain is coming. We have a shield of deep tropical moisture that will be spreading into the US. This map here, this is a precipitable water values. Anything in the purple color that's greater than 1.5 inches, that's more than enough for some heavy rain. Anything in this red shade, though, along the coast, that's some very rich moisture and energy in the atmosphere. And if you're in this region, any storms that form could be producing torrential rainfall. You could get a quick 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in just 1 hour, maybe even more in some spots. So we have plenty of moisture, and you can see when this tropical entity comes on shore, you can see kind of this bullseye of moisture that we have here, moving through the Houston area, moving along the Texas Gulf Coast midweek, and eventually this huge area of moisture transports wherever the system tracks into Louisiana and portions of the deep south. So the exact track is still a little bit uncertain, but what we do know is we have plenty of moisture in place, and that's definitely going to enhance some flooding concerns. Starting today, the Weather Prediction Center already has a 3 out of 4 risk of flooding across portions of deep Texas. This is closest to the tropical system, but we have a much broader slight 2 out of 4 risk of flooding. So we're not only watching for some urban flooding, but we're also watching for some of those creeks and streams for potential river flooding. Tomorrow on Tuesday, we have a broader slight risk across Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, favoring the coast that's closest to where the tropical system will be. We could get an enhanced level 3 out of 4 risk somewhere along the more median coast, depending on how that tropical system shakes out. So some more updates for that to come. The heavy rain risk, though, will continue on Wednesday, especially along the coast. And then on Thursday, the risk kind of broadens out. We have that risk from that tropical system over Louisiana. A separate system to the north will be bringing some flooding concerns, but definitely tracking some very heavy rainfall across portions of the south. So let's play out one model solution, the HRRR. Already waking up today on Monday, we're tracking a lot of rain already across Texas and Louisiana. What's actually happening is we have a late season cold front that'll be moving into portions of the region. This is pretty rare for June, but this cold front is going to act as a focal point for all the tropical moisture that'll be surging northward. And we can think of it as kind of wringing out all of the moisture from the air in the form of rain. So some pretty heavy showers all the way from Austin into Louisiana and to Mississippi. Numerous rain showers continuing through the day on Monday. This is why we have that slight risk of flooding, and we already have flood watches across much of southern Texas, so prepare for a soggy Monday. Tuesday, though, this is when our tropical system starts to influence portions of the south. Notice on the HRRR, especially focusing across this region, southern Texas into Mexico, on the radar we kind of start seeing a spin to the motion if I zoom into this area, and this is the beginning stages of the potential tropical development. So still some uncertainty as to whether it will develop again, but it could start fleeing some heavy rain and moisture into portions of Texas as soon as Tuesday. So if you're in the coast, from Corpus Christi, Port Aransas, all the way up to Galveston and Houston, you're going to start seeing some of those heavy rain impacts, and we do want to prepare for some flood potential. Across the broader zone, though, we also have that slight risk of flooding. Some more heavy rain across Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi and Alabama can definitely be expected. That's as far as the high resolution model goes. But going to the global model, we can continue to track the progress, and this is a GFS. Notice we do have an area of very heavy rainfall across portions of the coast. This is later on Tuesday. You can see from Houston further south over the Gulf, we have some very heavy rain possible with the system. Whether it develops or not, again, right now chances are low. Not impossible though, 30%. Regardless, the impacts will probably be the same, and that'll be some heavy rain. The GFS is tracking this across Louisiana by the time we get into Wednesday, and then eventually further into Mississippi, and then further east toward the Tennessee and Georgia Valley on Thursday. Where the core goes, it'll bring some heavy rain, but there'll be a pretty tight rainfall gradient where if you're just outside the core of the system, then rainfall totals could quickly drop off. So that's why there's still a lot of uncertainty, and that's why we'll definitely want to keep on checking back in with the forecast. One of the other big models that we track also is looking at a similar scenario on Tuesday and Wednesday with an area of very heavy rain off of Houston, potentially moving onto the coast. And then the European model doesn't develop this into a tropical system, but it does bring this slug of tropical moisture and rain into Louisiana on Thursday. So this would definitely exacerbate flood concerns, and then brings this potential system into Mississippi and Alabama, the deep south, Thursday into Friday late week. So it's showing a similar track, which does mean there is agreement in the models. But again, as I was saying, only slight shifts in the track vary the location of heavy rainfall quite a bit, so there is still some forecast uncertainty. So comparing the rainfall totals, this is a GFS model, and notice we had that stripe of very heavy rain along the potential track of the tropical entity extending from Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. This is where we could get in excess of 6 inches of rainfall over the next week. So this is definitely heavy rain that will cause some flash flooding if too much falls at once. Even just this broader region though, a huge area where we could get 1 to 3 inches, isolated higher amounts than that. The European model, the second model that I was showing you, does agree on that general zone for some of the heaviest rain where we could get 3 to 6 inches, but isolated higher amounts could be possible. Some of these yellow shades, especially across Louisiana, Mississippi, maybe another one offshore of Texas, that is pretty concerning to me. And if some of these locations set up, we could potentially get up to 12 inches of rain, which would definitely cause some more high-end flooding concern. This far out though, we don't have all those specific details as to where that might occur and even if it will occur at all. So right now the messaging is in this general region, a heavy rainfall threat is setting up. We want to stay weather aware, and then as we get closer, we'll fine-tune a lot more of the details, and we'll hopefully be able to zoom in on the locations. But it definitely doesn't hurt to be prepared. So if you're in this corridor that I'm circling from Texas into portions of the deep south with some of these higher contours, this is where the Weather Prediction Center is predicting 5 inches plus of rainfall. And so I would definitely start thinking ahead of some of our flood safety precautions. Always remembering never to cross flooded roads, turn around, don't drown. And if you're living in more vulnerable locations, low-lying areas near rivers, creeks, and streams that are prone to flooding, just making sure we're paying especially close to the weather. So a lot more details on that in the coming days. We also are tracking a severe weather threat though. This is our second big story further to the north. So we have a pretty strong trough of low pressure that will be moving through portions of the northern plains as we go Wednesday and Thursday. At the surface, we're going to get an area of low pressure set up, and as the system clears to the east, it's going to interact with a lot of warm air, a lot of energy moving up, which will be enough for some severe storm development. And early looks at Wednesday do paint a pretty concerning picture. Our models are depicting a streak, a jet streak of very strong winds high in the atmosphere. That's what some of these red and purple colors show. This is way up in the atmosphere, but when we have really strong winds up there, this can help ventilate storms and promote a lot of lift and rising air, and especially when combining with some of the warm, unstable air in place, could quickly create some severe thunderstorms. In addition to upper level energy, we're also going to have a lot of instability in place. Our models are depicting a corridor where some very high energy will be in place from Kansas to Missouri, potentially a little bit further north, especially in that red and purple shade. Still a little bit early in the forecast to nail down some of the specifics, but the ingredients are definitely lining up. And so the Storm Prediction Center has a rare day 4, as of this recording at least, 30% risk of severe weather in this orange shade across central Missouri into central Illinois. So this includes Kansas City, this includes Quincy, this includes St. Louis. If you're in these communities, details are low. You'll definitely want to be checking back in on the weather in the coming days, because this could be a potential severe weather outbreak where higher end severe weather is possible, maybe some stronger tornadoes, maybe some more powerful straight line wind segments. Even at this yellow 15% risk, which does include Chicago, Cincinnati, we also want to be weather aware on Wednesday for some significant severe weather. And then on Thursday, everything will shift a little bit further east. So now we're talking about portions of the Mid-Atlantic, Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., all the way up to New York City. The signal is a little bit weaker on Thursday compared to Wednesday. That's why we don't have that orange 30% risk, but still this 15% risk is significant, whereas tornadoes and damaging winds and some large hail is possible, and we want to be weather aware. We'll have so many more details in the days to come, but here's kind of the preliminary look. You can see showers and storms returning across the region as we go into Wednesday, and especially Wednesday into Thursday in some of these darker shades of orange and red. This is where some of the stronger to severe storms are possible, with everything sliding east into portions of the northeast later on Thursday. So this is kind of our setup for severe weather. Again, check back in on the forecast. We'll have a lot more high resolution details in the days to come. So thanks for watching. We have a lot of moving parts in the next few days. To summarize, we're tracking that heavy rain threat across the south, where there could be a corridor of more significant, very heavy rain, potentially greater than 6 inches. If you're in that zone, more significant impacts are possible, so we're definitely watching out. And then we're also watching out for that severe weather to the north, potentially a severe weather outbreak, depending on how the ingredients come together. Thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with me outside of my usual setup. If you never want to be caught off guard by the weather and want to catch more of these updates, consider subscribing. But otherwise, hope you'll have a great day and see you next time.